What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Watch It in Action. I'm BouseFeenux, and today we're going to be taking a look at Mesa. Mesa is basically Warframe's gunslinger frame. Essentially, everything about her screams it. I mean, she's got the guns on her arms, the ammo pouches here. She's a really cool-looking frame, and even cooler to play. So, let's take a look at the build real quick. Essentially, what I've got here, this is a 3-forma build, and even with all these mods maxed out, you can still fit it. The biggest thing for Mesa is you're going to want a lot of power strength and duration and efficiency, and that's pretty much what this build offers here. As for the Exilus slot, you can kind of throw whatever you want in there. If you want to go for a 9, one that costs 9 capacity, you can throw on another Forma and make that fit. I would probably Forma this Prime Continuity here, put another Y-pole there, but it's not absolutely necessary. With the release of those drift mods that recently just came out, you could put the power strength one on here, and that would probably do you pretty well. But essentially, this is the build here, and we're using the Augment Staggering Shield, and this is for the Shatter Shield ability. And basically, we'll talk about Shatter Shield here in a second, but with the inclusion of this Augment, it allows us a little bit extra crowd control possibilities, which is really nice. So, taking a look at the abilities here, the thing I like most about Mesa, first of all, is all of her abilities are good. I use all of them, in the average mission. But going through the list here, we have Ballistic Battery first up, and essentially what this does is you activate it by pressing 1, and as you shoot enemies, and you can do this with, you can shoot enemies and it'll count for Peacemaker, a primary weapon, or a secondary weapon. And essentially how this works is, when you shoot, it charges up from 0 to 100, and when you get to 100, you can press 1 again, and then your next shot will be charged and do extra damage. Which is pretty nice for single-shot weapons like the Rubico, which I'm using now, or a sniper rifle or a launcher, or anything that's going to deal a lot of burst DPS or a lot of damage in one shot or a short amount of shots. So the next ability we have here is Shooting Gallery, and essentially how this works is it'll place a little aura around you, and it'll switch between you and your teammates. And what it does is when you get close to enemies, it'll jam their guns, and melee enemies, it'll stun them, which is also really nice. The next ability here, Shatter Shield, is essentially a damage buffer. And what it does is it offers you up to 90, so right now I've got 95% damage reduction, and that's based on power strength. And basically what that does is it reflects incoming bullet damage, and it'll reduce that damage up to 95%. And with the augment we have on here that I showed you earlier, those reflected projectiles will actually stagger enemies as well, which is really nice if you're getting in really close to enemies and stuff like that. They get staggered, gives you a little bit of time to get away, and I find that kind of helpful, because Mesa is pretty squishy at higher levels, not a whole lot of survivability, and this is pretty much the ability that you want to keep up all the time that'll keep you alive. Then the last ability here, Peacemaker, this is one of my favorite abilities in the game, and they've recently changed it. Some people like the change, some people don't like the change. I'm one of the people that do. I think it works really well for her. It makes her a lot more fun, a lot more interactive to play. So with this ability, it'll basically just stop you in place. You'll stand still, and as you move around, you'll be able to shoot different enemies up to 50 meters away. Now, the only problem with this is while you're using this ability, you're completely immobile. Until you toggle it off, you can't move again, which is where that Shatter Shield is going to come in really handy. It's going to keep us alive if we can't move. So that being said, let's go ahead and check out the abilities here and see how they work. Since Mesa kind of falls off a little bit at higher levels, we're going to use some enemies that are going to be slightly lower level than what we normally use. We're going to go for level 50s, and these are still going to be pretty tough because Mesa, again, like I said, is very squishy, not a lot of survivability on her. So we're going to simulate those enemies, and we're going to put up our Shooting Gallery right away and Shatter Shield, and that's what's going to keep us alive. And I'm going to show you how these enemies react to these abilities. So you notice this guy here, he's checking his gun. That Shooting Gallery has affected him, and his weapon is jammed. He can't use it anymore. You'll notice here some of these guys are shooting at us and they're getting staggered. That's the Shattering Shield and that Staggering Shield augment that's letting us, stagger these guys. And then lastly here, we've got this we got the Peacemaker ability. And essentially, like I said, you activate it, you're standing in place, you can kind of spin around, and you'll notice that as you look around, there's this little reticle based on the color of your energy. So yeah, we got blown up by a grenade. Mesa is extremely squishy. Not a whole lot of survivability there against non-projectiles, so if a melee unit comes up and hits you, it's going to take you out pretty quick. Let's try this again, and I'll show you guys the last ability here. So that last ability is going to be that Ballistic Battery, and as I said before, as you do damage, it'll charge up from 0 to 100. So we got 9. This is really easy to charge up with fast-firing weapons, and the best way to do it is with Peacemaker. So now we're already at 100. We're going to go ahead and toggle out of that, and then we're going to press 1 again, and I'm going to shoot this guy. 68,000 damage. That's pretty good. I mean, the Rubico is capable of more than that, but for just a random shot, I think that's pretty solid. The last thing with Peacemaker is basically as you shoot, you're going to notice that reticle gets smaller and smaller. Now, as you turn around, she'll target pretty much anything in that reticle that's up to 50 meters away. But the more you shoot, the smaller it's going to get. And that's going to make it harder to hit enemies, but it's also going to increase her damage output, which is really, really nice. So, that all being said, that's pretty much Mesa. Important things to remember, always keep this Shatter Shield up. Shooting Gallery helps out a ton, especially for your allies who may not be as tanky as Mesa is with her Shatter Shield and stuff. It's going to give them a little extra breathing room if they get close to enemies. It's a little unexpected. It's really good to use in a solo mission because it always stays with you if you're solo. However, if you are with friends, it will jump from, you know, person to person until the duration expires. But that being said, that's pretty much the frame. That's basically how she plays. You know, jump in, use Peacemaker to clear large groups of enemies. I don't recommend staying in it all the time because it does drain your energy rather quickly. But I have a lot of fun with her. She's really good at multiple levels. Pretty good support frame. And you know, I hope you guys got a lot from this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next one. Thank you so much.